Hello everyone, this is my review of Batman 89, which unfortunately gets a lot of shit from the Nolanites these days. And in my opinion, the best Batman movie ever made. Not only do I feel like this captures the spirit of Batman, from the comics, this also gives the character his balls back after years prior taking them away, thanks to the Adam West TV series, thanks to the comics back in the 70s that was ultra realistic. It was between this, The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, and The Killing Joke, basically revived Batman. Honestly, it made Batman into the character that we know him today. And this movie basically is inspired by those stories. For those who are shitting on this movie, you should be ashamed of yourself. This film is why you have your overrated movies known as the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. Not only do I feel like this bestly represents the Batman from the comics and also Gotham City along with the Joker. I mean, people could argue this movie is outdated. I don't agree. From the soundtrack, the atmosphere of this movie, it's timeless. It's a classic. The same can't be said for Nolan's movies, which are nothing more than anti-terrorist propaganda if you really want to go there. And not to mention, unlike this, unlike that movie, this Batman isn't a freaking hypocrite. Which I'll get to that when I review the Christopher Nolan Batman films. But this Batman, he kills in this movie. And there are people that bitch about Ben Affleck killing people. Michael Keaton did it before Ben Affleck, back in 1989. And this movie is important to Batman because without this movie, you wouldn't have the animated series in the 1990s, which brought talents like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and the Joker. It all started here. And to say that this movie doesn't represent Batman, what the fuck is wrong with you? Jack Nicholson's Joker was brilliant. Far better than the Jokers that came after him. Nothing against Heath Ledger, but Jack Nicholson's Joker, in my opinion, resembles the Joker more from the comics than Heath Ledger's does. Not to mention, he's a combination of his golden age and his modern age counterparts. So I feel like this resembles the Joker far more than the Dark Knight. Yeah, the Dark Knight, he is psychotic, yet like the Joker is in the comics. But so is he. The Joker in this movie is insanely psychotic. Just like he is in the Dark Knight. It's just it isn't ultra realistic. And Batman isn't his fucking bitch like he is in The Dark Knight. And the storytelling in this film was amazing. I mean, think about it. One of the greatest Batman stories ever told is Batman creating the Joker and the Joker creating Batman. So, you have two characters that essentially created each other. To me, this was genius. Yeah. Yes, I know they made some alterations for the comic, but come on! They weren't a big deal to the point where it completely shits on the source material. Honestly, I felt this was brilliant. And so what if it focused more on the Joker than it did on Batman? I felt Batman was an interesting character as well as the Joker. Honestly, I felt like when they showed Batman too much, it made him less interesting. And that's the thing about the Nolan films, I think. That Christian Bale is a shitty actor compared to Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, he was able to do shit that Christian Bale had trouble doing, and the suit that he wore was far heavier. And he couldn't even friggin' hear in the damn suit. That is amazing. That shows talent, willing to improvise. And when he says, I'm Batman. Now compare that to Christian Bale, who talks like this, like he has throat cancer, which anyone could do, including me. Takes no talent. It sounds more natural when Michael Keaton does it, and he actually sounds like a badass. Michael Keaton is, to be honest, you cannot be a good Bruce Wayne and not be a good Batman. Or be a good Batman but not be a good Bruce Wayne. You have to be both. If you can't be both, you are a shitty Batman. You cannot, because Batman and Bruce Wayne are both the same side of the same coin. You cannot do one and not the other. You have to do both, and you have to do both of them well. And Michael Keaton, I felt like best represented the character on screen so far. Ben Affleck, I felt like, has the potential to be as good, if not better, than Michael Keaton. But we have to see him shine in his own solo film. Michael Keaton did such a great job with this role. This movie, when I watched it after a long time, I was blown away. In my opinion, this movie did not get worse with time. It got better. It made me appreciate all the stuff that I currently have in the Batman franchise, such as the Arkham games, the Batman animated series, all those storylines and the comics that currently exist now, Harley Quinn. None of that would have happened had it not been for this. To talk shit about this movie is basically to shit on the legacy of Tim Burton, what he has done for this franchise. Tim Burton has done far more good for this franchise than Christopher Nolan. And it's a damn shame that Michael Keaton and Tim Burton didn't do the rest of the films. Because I felt like this movie was a setup for better films in the series, which unfortunately never happened. Batman Returns is a good sequel, but it's not as good as the first one. But it's still a good movie. And it's the fact they kept Batman so mysterious in this film, I felt like, Nostalgia Critic said this himself, made him a more interesting character, because you know basically not that much about him. While in the Christopher Nolan movies, you know everything about Batman, which there's no mystery behind him. You know everything about Bruce Wayne in the first movie. This movie, I felt like, deserves the praise that it got back in the day. I feel like it doesn't deserve the shit that it gets now from the Nolanites, who act like Christopher Nolan's Batman films best resembles the character. It doesn't. This movie was great. I felt the casting was pretty good. And it felt like watching a comic book movie coming to life. This movie, along with Superman the movie, is the reason why comic book movies are where they are today. This movie is why we have things like the Avengers. It's why we have had, like, about 12 years later, we had the Spider-Man movie trilogy, which I will talk about in another video, how I feel about that. But this movie, and along with Superman the movie, started it all. To disrespect this is disrespecting the legacy of comic book movies. This is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. It really is. Batman 89. And there's nothing anyone can tell me that'll change my mind otherwise. Honestly. I can't help but be blown away by how well this movie has aged. Unlike the Nolan trilogy, which is aging rapidly. Honestly. I will watch this film over any film in the Nolan trilogy, including The Dark Knight. I'm sorry, but this Batman movie is the greatest Batman movie, live action wise, mind you, ever made. I love Jack Nicholson's Joker, which Bob Kane even approved of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. The Joker in general was a great villain in this movie. It's just, in my opinion, this is what the problem I have with the newer Batman films. They take themselves too seriously. There is actually something called humor in here. And it actually isn't stupid when they do it. The Joker, I felt like I'm not going to make it a secret. My sense of humor is pretty dark. And I felt the Joker's humor in this film was great for the character. Honestly. My review of this movie is a masterpiece. That's the score. I don't care. You Nolan Knights could go suck a dick. I don't care. Batman 89 is better than any of the Batman films that's come out before and since. Now, next time I review a Batman film, it's going to be the masterpiece. The sequel, which is highly underrated in my opinion, Batman Returns. Stay tuned, everyone, for that video. Peace out.